Hey everyone, welcome to the Everyday Human podcast. My name is Easton Taverna. Each day I'll share a reflection written by me and inspired by literature, poetry, music, movies, video games, and more. And after that, I'll share a prompt for you to write your own reflection. Together, we'll explore what it means to be human. Every month, we'll walk a new path, taking a look at life, death, the universe, and everything in between. Thanks for coming along. I'm glad you're here. For more, visit eastontaverna.com or join me on Instagram at _everydayhuman. Hello everyone, it's May 7th, and today's episode is titled The Two Great Angels. And it was inspired from a quote from one of my all-time favorite games. Probably my favorite. And I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that this game changed my life, and I probably wouldn't be who I am today if I never played it. And this game is called Xenogears. Xenogears is a JRPG, that is Japanese role-playing game. It was created by Tetsuya Takahashi and his wife Kaori Tanaka. It was originally proposed as Final Fantasy VII, another all-time great. It was also potentially going to be a sequel to Chrono Trigger, another one of the greats. And we've actually had quotes from both Final Fantasy VII and Chrono Trigger so far on The Everyday Human. But obviously it did not become those games and became its own thing. It was released in the best year for video games, in my opinion, 1998, and it came out on PlayStation, the first PlayStation. I first played this when it came out. I was 13 at the time, and I just loved everything about it. The character designs, the characters themselves, the story, the anime cutscenes, the music by Yasunori Mitsuda. I still listen to this soundtrack while I'm writing. The world, the gears, and these are these giant robots that the characters pilot. And they exist in this world as weapons or excavation tools and things like that. The gameplay, you would traverse the world in a pretty traditional way, exploring towns, the world map, but then you'd also be able to fly around in your gears eventually, and combat was held both on foot as hand-to-hand, but then also in your gears. And there was like this weird like fighting game, mini game, I guess, in one of the cities that you have to go through. So there was that too. It was pretty ambitious. So as I said, I was 13 at the time of playing, raised in a devout Catholic family on Long Island. And if you've been listening, you've already heard echoes of that upbringing in some of my reflections. And then here I am, picking this game up in the video game section of Toys R Us. I think that's where I got it from. Yeah, I think it was from Toys R Us, not Funko Land, which was the other place I would get my games from. Anyway, so I was like, oh, neat, another JRPG, because I was getting into those. I really loved them. But I had no idea it would be as formative as it was, that it was exploring heavy religious themes, this idea of killing God, quote unquote, which has become a sort of trope in JRPGs, and elements of Jungian philosophy, along with Nietzsche and Freud, who I probably didn't even know about, maybe very surface level at the time. And it also was exploring these dystopian elements and eternal souls and endless, timeless love, all this kind of stuff that you could imagine would be pretty mind-blowing and thought-provoking to a 13-year-old kid. Now, I think at the time there may have been cracks forming in my faith, or at least my relationship with organized religion, in particular the Catholic Church. The inquiries into abuse of minors by the Catholic clergy started coming into light, or at least I began hearing about them around this time. One of the priests at the church I went to growing up, where I served as an altar boy, actually was guilty of this, and this is where I began questioning. And around this same time, I was playing Xenogears, so how did this all tie in together? There's a character in Xenogears named Billy Lee Black. He's a young, gun-slinging priest for the religion of Ethos. And there's a point in the game, I think it's safe to spoil it now, as the game is now 28 years old, and Billy finds out that the whole religion that he's been serving for his life is a sham. And there's a bishop, Bishop Stone, who reveals this. Well, there's a lot that reveals it, but there's a quote that pretty much brings it to a point, and he says this. The ethos was created as a Solaris sub-organization and given the task of managing Earth dwellers. But over the years, the ethos started to set up convenient doctrines for itself. It then went on to gather the ignorant masses and created a god for them to believe in. Then, the ethos went so far as to plot a separation from its creator, Solaris. So, Solaris had no choice but to eliminate all those who defy our rule and raise the flag of rebellion. So this revelation is part of Billy Lee Black's arc, and he of course needs to then make a choice, and he chooses to fight against this and continues on with the band of heroes to, save the day kind of thing. And for me at the time, it kind of broke my mind. And I was like, wait a second. So you're telling me it's possible that not everything I've been taught is true. Not everything they read to me from the pulpit or give sermons on is absolutely correct or the right way to live. There could be other motives behind what they're saying. And so the seed was planted. As a 13-year-old, this really was the jump-off point for me to begin reading more, studying other philosophies and religions, and to see what else was out there. And it wasn't right away. I didn't go to the library to pick up Man and His Symbols by Carl Jung or books by Freud or Nietzsche or anything like that. But as I then went through high school, the idea cultivated, and as I went to college, there it grew into a curiosity and exploration of knowledge and schools of thought that still exists today within me. It basically taught me to not believe everything I hear at face value, and that there's a whole world of knowledge out there to learn, and that I could spend my life learning and never learn at all. And look, this isn't an attack on religion or God or a certain belief. Xenogears isn't that, in fact. It's what I was talking about just now. It's an exploration of faith and being human, and this idea of God, whatever that might look like to you, and where we all fit into the world and the universe, with each other and with our beliefs. Okay, that was a lot. Probably my longest intro yet for an episode. The quote for today is not by Billy Lee Black, and he's not the main character. Someone else named Fei Fong Wang is the main character. And Fei has his own incredible adventure that is far too long and complicated to get into here. But the quote comes from a section of dialogue between Fei and Ellie Van Houten, and it's from the end of the game. There's a sort of immortal love between these two, in that their souls are bound together. And that's a big part of this story in Xenogears as well. So yeah, this game means a lot to me. I love it as a video game. I love it in how it was formative for me in my own sort of growth as a human and my exploration of knowledge and belief. It's not for everyone. I've replayed it a bunch of times. It's a little rough around the edges, especially nowadays. The second disc was unfortunately rushed, so it kind of is more of like a visual novel. There's a lot of basically just text and cutscenes and talking. A lot of people do love this game, but, some people don't. And that's fine, It's special to me, though. So, all right, let's get into the quote. And this is Fei speaking to Ellie. Ellie, that isn't wrong. To sacrifice yourself for others is a noble thing. Even if it were to benefit yourself, it's no problem. There will always be a person healed, one or the other. Love gains its original shine only when there's an interrelationship between the giver and the receiver. It is incomplete when one or the other is missing. The two are one. It was you, Ellie, who taught me that. I believe that is what it means to be human. All right, and here is my reflection. There is a set of statues in the Cathedral of Nisan. 2 angels stand 30 feet in the air, each with a foot resting atop a thin and ornate pedestal reminiscent of a massive candlestick. to give the appearance that they are flying, or that they are about to take flight. But these angels are unique in that each has only a single wing. We can imagine that God had a choice when creating humans: create us perfectly or make us flawed. And God chose, very obviously, to make us flawed. If we were perfect, then we would not help each other. Perhaps even we would not love each other. Would we even have a need for something like love? And so, in order to fly, and as we are imperfect, and as we each have only one wing, we are dependent on one another. There's a somber beauty in this idea. Who we are with others lies at the core of our being, the essence of what it means to be human. To exist in isolation, well, that would make us something else entirely. Simply, we define ourselves through our connections to others. Love makes us who we are. You cannot fly alone. And there ends today's reflection. And just a quick note, the Cathedral of Nisan is a place in Xenogears. And if you listen to the introduction, you probably assume that. Okay. Anyhow, yes, a brief reflection for a long intro today. But that will bring us to your reflection question. So ask yourself this: who do I rely on to fly? And who relies on me? Now, there is a lot of emphasis on individualism, on being able to do it yourself, on pushing through, on putting yourself above the rest. But we must remember that we are all connected in every single way. From who you are today, you would not be that person without the people who raised you, without your friends along the way, your relationships, over to the people who grow your food, the people who take care of you, the people who teach you, the people that you see on the street corner, maybe who give you a smile as you pass them by. We are all connected, and we cannot do anything alone. And we need to remember that. Community, relationships are at the core of who we are as humans. And I think we need to get back to that idea in practice. So that ends today, May 7th. I will be back tomorrow, May 8th, with another reflection. Have a good one, and take care.